Hey guys, what's going on? This is RJ Game News USA here, and today I want to bring you a top 10 list. And honestly, it's been a while since I did one of these, but I figured it was time. Given recent events and giving all the shit that's going on right now with Xbox, I want to talk about the top 10 worst Xbox fails of all time. So let's jump right into it. So if you're new to the channel, please like, share, and subscribe if you haven't already. And how we do these top 10 lists is we count it down from number 10 to number 1. And we're going to start off with number 10, and that is the Kinect. The Kinect peripheral is one of the worst peripherals ever made. Now, it was coming off the era of the Wii and the motion controls that they had put out, which honestly, at the time were fine, but even then, I have really soured on motion controls quite a bit. And so, it's not as good as the Move, and the Kinect really had a lot of shovelware and kids games and a bunch of really crappy games in their library to play with the Kinect, and it was just a really horrible peripheral. Number 9 on the list, you all old timers, I remember this. How about the Red Ring of Death? Now look, this is admittedly during Xbox's prime time. This is admittedly during Xbox's peak. But that being said, 54% of consoles ended up with the Red Ring of Death around that time. Xbox had to shell out over $1 billion to get it fixed and make it right with gamers. It almost tanked their console business. So, yeah, it was a little rough. There was a lot of PlayStation people who definitely dogged on 360 fans about the Red Ring. That's for sure. And it is a little bit of a black mark in the industry to have such a high failure rate. But it still wasn't as bad as the next 8 things on this list. Starting with number 8. Putting out a $1,000 handheld. This is very recent, but the Xbox ROG Ally, or whatever the hell they're calling it, is $1,000. Are you kidding me right now? Could you imagine thinking you can get away with putting out a $1,000 handheld? Like, I dogged on PlayStation VR for being niche in the past. I've dogged on that. And this just takes the cake for niche. I've dogged in the PS5 Pro. This is worse. It's hundreds of dollars more expensive for a stupid PC handheld. Especially whenever you get a Steam Deck for like $300 something, or a Switch 2. Or other PC handhelds for cheaper. Like, this is like really bad. And it's a really bad look for Xbox. And how about number 7? Going away from exclusives. I mean, we see Nintendo with exclusives, PlayStation with exclusives, although they're starting to go away from that a little bit. Xbox doesn't care about exclusives. In fact, they encourage you to, play this on Nintendo, play it on PlayStation. Everything's an Xbox. Play it on your TV, play it on your cell phone. And with them not caring about exclusives, no wonder their console business is failing so hard. Like, could you imagine Nintendo or PlayStation doing something like this? Hell no, you couldn't. Hell no, you couldn't. It's a little embarrassing, actually, especially if you were an Xbox fanboy, and then all of a sudden, your games are available everywhere else. That's kind of ridiculous. It kind of defeats the purpose of why do you even own an Xbox? And it's a strategy I don't think I agree with, and I don't think works for them either, in the short term and the long term, no matter how much they think it will. Alright, so number 6 on this list, trying to do $80 games. It failed immediately, instantly. Outer Worlds 2 came out with a price tag of $80, and they instantly switched it back. Now, I'm sure they're going to charge $80 again in the near future. So this will be an ongoing, continuous mistake. And although they're trying to put their games out on other systems and other platforms, they're going to look awfully stupid being the first ones to go 80 consistently. I know Mario Kart World was 80, but it was also bundled in. They're going to look really stupid if they're the first ones to go 80 consistently, while their other competitions and third-party developers stick to 70 for a while. Someone needs to check their greed at the door. Number 5. How about wasting the Halo franchise? I mean, I never, ever would expect this from Nintendo or Sony. You don't see... I would argue, although there's been years where it didn't feel like Kratos in God of War was the flag bearer of PlayStation. Maybe it was The Last of Us for a few years. But PlayStation never fully wasted God of War. They rebooted it, brought it back in a different way, and it worked out great for them. Nintendo, of course, hasn't wasted Mario. Yes, we're still waiting on the next big 3D Mario. We've been waiting quite some time. Almost the better part of a decade now, which is crazy. Although we've had gaps somewhat similar in the past. Mario, there's multiple Mario games every year. Mario's involved in so many things. But where the hell is Halo? Where's Master Chief? I mean, I've seen entire 90-minute showcases where Master Chief and Halo aren't highlighted even a little. Halo Infinite's totally dead, it feels like. They won't even mention it anywhere except in niche areas, like Waypoint. And there doesn't seem to be any imminent announcement for Halo 7. The rumor is they're just going to reboot the first Halo. Gee whiz, let's put it in Unreal Engine 5. I'm sure some graphic enthusiast will be interested. But honestly, is that really the answer? Can you really not give us a proper Halo 7? Can you really not do a return to form but something new as well? It's kind of sad. And it's funny because I actually liked Halo Infinite quite a lot. I actually sunk hundreds of hours into it. And beat the campaign, 100%ed it. I did hundreds of hours of the multiplayer, completed several battle passes for a few years there, and then I fell off. And we're all just kind of wondering, where's Halo? Anyway, number 4 on the list. How about raising the price of the Xbox Series X and S? Not once, but twice in 4 months. Like, you want to talk about a good way to kill your hardware. First of all, this is not like raising the price of a popular product that's in high demand or low supply. This is straight up just greed. They will blame it on tariffs. But the bottom line is this, they're way in third. The bottom line is this, a lot of their Xboxes are already here in the United States collecting dust. In fact, to the point where retailers are pretty much done with Xbox. And we've been over almost all these stories in the top 10 list before. But the idea that Xboxes are essentially getting turned away from retailers is kind of funny to me. And it's a mess of their own making. Retailers know they're not going to sell that shit for $800 a pop for the top model. So they'll turn them away. They don't want to have it sit and take up space. It's kind of getting really pathetic out there. Number 3, and this is going to be a controversial one. Some of you will disagree. So I would definitely, if a couple years ago, said, what am I talking about here? But I think the proof's in the pudding. Number 3 is the Activision Blizzard acquisition. It was a mistake. It was a mistake. Call of Duty lost $300 million in sales under Microsoft compared to before. Why is that? Well, they put it on Game Pass. Is Game Pass sustainable? I don't know. You're about to see why. You're about to see in number 2 why not. But before I get to that, let me explain something. This is a fail not just for the consumers, it's a fail for Xbox too. They're not making the $70 billion back. Clearly, they fired 15,000 employees for a reason. So they lied to the FCC. Phil Spencer lied. Said Game Pass wouldn't go up in price. He said we won't fire people. We won't keep this exclusive. We won't put this in Game Pass. Whatever he said to get it put through, he lied. He should actually be arrested for perjury. And I was all for Xbox winning that court case. Looking back on it, I wish they failed. I wish the FCC actually blocked the deal. I really do. I really do. I think everybody's worse off for it. Whether you like Call of Duty, whether you were an Xbox fan, whether you were a PlayStation person, everybody lost. Every single person lost in this. And that's the truth. The Activision Blizzard deal was a mistake. And not only that, where are the Activision Blizzard games on Game Pass? The whole catalog, the library. This is not like the Bethesda deal where that was a good deal and it seemed like it worked out for both parties. And we got a whole slew of games that went to the Game Pass library. What happened here with Activision Blizzard coming to Game Pass? It was literally a broken lie, a broken promise, and honestly, a huge disappointment. But number 2, and this really cuts deep, raising the price of Game Pass Ultimate. And, they've done it before. Obviously, couple bucks here or there. But I've never in my life seen a subscription raised so fast, so suddenly, with such less value added. They went from $20 to $30 a month. And there are so many ins and outs involved with this that I didn't even cover in my video about this, that I found out later. Like, your speed and frame rates, your qualities may go up or down depending what style of Game Pass you got for the streaming service. Wow. This whole rumor that they might put ads in games, like, this cuts deep. Like, this is bad. But it was such a bad announcement, people rushed to the cancellation page and caused it to crash, of course. So, like, this is their current hell they're living. But as bad as that was, it does not top number 1 on the list. Because truly, Xbox never recovered from what's number 1 on the list to this day. And that was the Xbox One reveal. It is quite simply the single worst reveal of a console of all time. Without a doubt. First of all, they had a huge focus on TV. By then, we already had apps on the 360 and the PS3 and stuff where you could access Netflix and access other TV apps. Who gives a shit? We're gamers. We want to see the games. But it was all TV. And then they come out and say DRM, it's going to be an online check-in every hour. They said you couldn't trade your games in. And of course, PlayStation mocked them with their video at E3 where they said, this is how you borrow a game. And he handed it to him and he said, thank you. And guess what? Xbox reversed all those decisions. Initially, the Kinect was going to be required in order to have the system. And, the system ended up costing $100 more than PS4, despite being weaker. And a bunch of people who had 360 were turned off. And they went to the PS4. And it caused what we currently have, which is PlayStation way bigger than Xbox, when they're in direct competition with each other. And by that happening, in the era where digital distribution was becoming a huge deal, they lost the wrong console generation. And it is continually causing them to make these other stupid mistakes after the fact. And let's not forget, let's not get this lost in the weeds. When Don Matrick was running Xbox One and part of that reveal, as bad as Phil Spencer, Don Matrick was so horrible. And he was asked a question from an interviewer that said, what about the people that can't afford an Xbox One or don't have the internet connections for an Xbox One? And Don Matrick said, well, we have a console for you. It's called the Xbox 360. And that pompous ass was out. And I thought we had a new era of Xbox. We did have a big game drought, and it's one of the reasons why acquisitions were happening. And Game Pass, when it first started, was just a little meager service after the fact. But it was like pretty cool. It was like, oh, look at all these games you could play. And it got bigger and bigger, and then it became the focus. And like I said, things were looking up at the beginning of the Series X. But sadly, Microsoft, due to their own making, just like the Xbox One reveal, completely screwed up in every way with all the other things that I listed on this top 10 list, and then some. If there's a rake, they managed to step on it. And that is why I have no hope in the future of this brand, Xbox. And hopefully their business model fails, because honestly, the best way to preserve any sort of gaming I knew growing up is to turn to PlayStation and especially Nintendo. And with that being said, guys, those were the top 10 fails of the Xbox. And I hope you liked the video. Comment below what you thought, and I'll see y'all later. RJ out. Have a good one.